Sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Ateno. Now, on Christmas Day, 21-year-old Maximilian Chemutai was involved in a road accident. Fortunately, she only had minor injuries, but 4 days later, as she was going to buy a birthday gift for her son, she was hit by a matatu whose driver had lost control. Unfortunately, she died. Now, Mel Miendo reports on the chilling and tragic events which came after Chemutai took to social media, thanking God for surviving the first accident and even wishing her friends a happy and prosperous new year, one she sadly will not live to see.
A case of unfortunate fate which began on Christmas Day. Maximilian Chemutai, a 21-year-old university student, survived a road accident along the Kapsabet-Shamakoko Road in Nandi County, which left her right leg injured.
Gari ilitokezea mbele, then yeye na pikipiki yenye alikuwa amepanda wakakolide mbele.
Chemutai, in her gratitude, took to social media. Her Facebook post read in part, and I quote, "I'm not giving a history, but I will announce that it was God's favor to manage without major injuries. Thanks to the many friends and enemies who have kept checking on me. I pray that 2019 be the year of your blessing. Happy and prosperous New Year." End of quote. Unfortunately, just days later, on December 29th,
Niliona gari imewacha lami imekuja kando huko.
Nikasikia mulio kwa barabara kama ni gari imekonga kitu.
That loud crashing sound was of a 14-seater matatu that hit Chemutai, killing her on the spot.
The accident iliyokaa nikaona ni kama imetumalizia maisha.
5 other people who were in the vehicle also died, and at least 8 were seriously injured, some of whom were standing with Chemutai on the roadside. Chemutai was a student at Mount Kenya University and was to resume studies in January 2019 after deferring twice. Relatives and friends converged at her home in Chebarus to mourn her death as her family recalled the moments before Chemutai met her death.
Nilipigiwa simu na mwenye alikuwa ananipikia ni ndugu yake mkubwa, akaniambia, "Mama, kuja tu angalau tuokoe Chemu." Kwa roho yangu nikasikia Chemu amekufa.
The accident happened near the Chepsangor escarpment, which for years residents say has been a black spot.
Tungeomba tafadhali Kenya irudishe hii mapati yenye ilikuwa hapa, yenye ilikuwa nasuilia magari, especially kwa makona. Hili gari ikipata ajali haiwezi tumbukiza kwenye mtoni vile hii ilifanyika jana.
Mel Miendo, NTV.
May her soul rest in peace. Now, a family in Kinyach village in Kimalel, Baringo South, is distraught as 4 of their daughters suffer from a spinal disorder, which the family terms as a strange disease. The women walk while bending or by using their hands to gain support from their upper legs as they move from one place to the other. It is not clear what and why the sisters suffer the same fate that has also lost them their marriages. The family is calling upon medical experts to help them identify and solve the problem.
Our journey takes us to Kinyach village in Kimalel, Baringo South. Steadily, with struggled maneuver, she delicately finds a way to move in and out of the house. Crippled as an adult, Julia Sote has lost her ability to walk without assistance.
Hii kitu ilianza 2002 na kwanza sikuenda hospitali.
She earns a living by breaking stones into gravel.
Kwa mimi napiga hata iko koto nikiuza mimi napata 15,000, lakini hakuna mwenye alijitokezea kunishughulikia kunipeleka hospitali.
Julia is not the only one with the arched back. Not 1, nor 2, but 3 of her sisters are living with the same condition. According to medical personnel who once attended to one of them, the sisters could be suffering from a symptomatic neurological or spinal disease. In this case, it is suspected that there's a risk factor that predisposed these 4 women to undergo the same fate. Just like Julia, her sister Priska Chemjor's condition, as well as the other sisters, slowly got worse after each childbirth.
Mtoto wa kwanza akanikunja hivi kidogo. Mtoto wa pili akanikunja. Mtoto wa tatu akaniweka chini.
The same narrative is shared by their two sisters who live in Nakuru and Eldoret. 3 of the sisters have been divorced after developing their condition.
Hiyo kutembea kwake hawezi akajionyesha kwa watu wote.
Today they received a wheelchair donation from the Baringo women representative, who also pleaded to medics to help in carrying out clinical tests that could lead to a diagnosis and possible treatment of a condition that has made the women community outcasts.
We are being informed that general family has this problem, that when these people are being born, the family members, when they are born, they are okay, they will grow well. After some time, they develop the problem. They start bending to a point they cannot walk unless they touch their lower limbs.
Unisomolo, NTV.
Education matters now is just over 3 days before schools are set to reopen. The teachers' strike is on. The reiteration has been made by the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Wilson Sossion, who has directed that all teachers countrywide participate in the strike. This ahead of a crucial meeting set for tomorrow. NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga with more.
A circular bearing today's date and addressed to all executive secretaries of the Kenya National Union of Teachers had a directive that is set to paralyze learning on the first day of the first term this week. The letter, penned by the Secretary General of the largest teachers' union in the country, Wilson Sossion, said in part, no teacher should report for the new school term until the strike is called off formally by the Secretary General through a vote of the National Executive Council as provided for in our Constitution. The letter continues to read, we call on all teachers to fully participate in this historic strike in order to claim our justified rights. End of quote.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
But the circular comes hours before a 7-member conciliation committee appointed by Labour Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani is set to visit the leadership of the Teacher Service Commission tomorrow to deliberate on the issues of contention that gave rise to the dispute. The issues NAT want addressed before they can call off the strike are teachers' promotions, delocalization and transfers, performance contracting system, and teachers' professional development modules.
What has happened is that papers have been exchanged, but the hearts of teachers have not moved. Teachers are still pained and hurt.
The chair of the Conciliation Committee, Charles Maranga, declined to comment on the position taken by NAT, saying they are preparing for tomorrow's crucial meeting. On the other hand, the head of communication at the Teacher Service Commission, Kihumba Kamodo, says TSC is willing and ready for any undertaking to ensure industrial peace in the teaching service. The Conciliation Committee met with the NAT leadership yesterday. The Ministry of Labour hopes to solve the stalemate between NAT and TSC before 3rd January when learners will be reporting for first term. Sharon Baranga, NTV, Nairobi.
Senior counsel Tom Ojiende today appeared before the DCI to record a statement following his contentious arrest on Friday evening. His arrest has been seen by various stakeholders come to the forefront of his defense in the recent case. The Law Society of Kenya President Ailen Gishuhi has stated that the LSK is in the process of filing a petition to block Friday arrests that see suspects spend the weekend in cells, as well as ensuring suspects are not denied bond. Ojiende stated that his arrest was a witch hunt as he cooperated with the police during the search, providing all necessary documentation. Ojiende, who was arrested with lawyer Peter Wanyama over charges of financial misappropriation at Mumia's Sugar Company, is expected to appear in court tomorrow for a hearing. As senior counsel and member of the Judicial Service Commission, Tom Ojienda awaits his date with the court tomorrow. His colleagues in the legal profession have come under heavy criticism over the opposition of their arrest. Some critics are now linking the cry by lawyers to what has now become synonymous with politicians opposed to their arrest of their colleagues charged with corruption and other crimes, and which they have said is targeted at them. NTV's Silas Apollo reports on the accusations that learned friends are now also exhibiting them to Wetu syndrome.
When detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations pounced on senior counsel Tom Ojienda on Friday, his colleagues in the legal profession came out gun-blazing. The lawyers accused the DCI and the DPP of a witch hunt, saying the arrest and detention of Ojienda and lawyer Peter Wanyama was aimed at intimidating members of the legal profession.
The Law Society of Kenya is really disappointed in the manner in which these arrests are being undertaken on Friday evenings, and we reiterate our call on the Director of Criminal Investigations to adhere to the Constitution while arresting anyone.
One of Ojienda's lawyers, Nelson Harvey, even went further and linked the arrest to a scheme to lock out people perceived to be anti-government from contesting for the Judicial Service Commission seat. The statements have been reiterated by the LSK chairman, Gladys Gachanja. However, they have been opposed by others who are accusing the lawyers of self-entitlement. Former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, who had on Friday been involved in a Twitter spat with Senate Majority Leader Kipchumba Murkomen, says the law should be applied equally to all. Murkomen had in his tweet termed the Friday arrest as a bad precedent, especially after Ojienda was locked up. Murkomen said that as a senior lawyer and member of the Judicial Service Commission, Ojienda was not a risk and that locking him up was an affront against the legal fraternity.
Lawyers should have come out fast when Mwananchi wa Kawaida was being arrested on Friday. When these other suspects of NYS were arrested on Friday, that is the time they should have complained, not now because one of their own, but they should be able to deal with this problem nationally, not because one of their own is arrested.
But the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nordin Haji, has firmly defended the Friday arrest as legal.
When young people, and you know, for a long time in Kenya, simsako ilikuwa inafanywa Fridays. So, why is it not an issue? Because some high-ranking individuals are now being arrested on a Friday. Suddenly it's an issue.
Ojienda and Wanyama were arrested over the ongoing probe into the troubled Mumias Sugar Company. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Elsewhere, a stern warning to stop provoking attacks and committing arson has been issued to residents of Maasai and Kalenjin communities living in Ololoipangi and Komben areas in Narok County. The directive was issued by the Narok County Commissioner George Natembeya, who spoke after deadly attacks sparked high tension in the area. He is deliberating with the government to increase security officers manning the region.
2018 has been a year of tension for residents in Ololoipangi and Kuben areas in Narok County. Their farmlands turning into battlefields with ethnic flare-ups, dusk to dawn curfews, and the constant fear of retaliatory attacks.
Mwaka huu unaanza huu, hakuna mchezo. Na mimi tishu na mtu, ukitaka shamba ya mtu kuja ongea na yeye, kama uko na pesa, nunua shamba. Kama unataka kodesha, kodesha shamba. Lakini usikuja na kifua hapo.
But as the year comes to a close, the residents are walking into the new year with renewed hope of coexisting peacefully. This thanks to the renewed promise of security being intensified in the area. In the last 4 months, ethnic clashes saw 6 people killed, 15 admitted to hospital after sustaining serious injuries, and 40 treated and discharged. 70 houses were also torched down, displacing residents and leaving scores fleeing their homes.
Kuna mipango imefanya hapa, tutaweka machifu hapa. Maana sasa inakaa ni kama emelemea lemeni kabisa, hii dunia ni kubwa. Tutatengeneza ili mambo ikuwa sawa sawa, tutatangaza tupate chifu ambaye mzuri.
Natembeya called on locals to report those inciting violence. The ethnic clashes have reportedly been flared up by historical land disputes, cases of cattle rustling, political incitement, and alleged negligence by the national government. Congregated in a peace meeting, the residents blamed the clashes on illegal grazing fields and trespassing and called upon the government to intervene.
Sisi hatuna shida na hawa na tutakubali amani na hawa, lakini hata hawa arekebishe tabia yao kwa sababu hao ndio wanapenda mambo ya vita.
Noting this, Natembeya said that freedom of movement for grazing was guaranteed, but warned the locals from grazing in the prohibited Masai Mau forest. Lillian Kiarie, NTV.
Now to a story of a man who first drank alcohol with the hope it would somehow boost his confidence but ended up throwing his life off track. 61-year-old David Irongo lost his job twice and almost lost his family after becoming an alcoholic. He battled the bottle for almost 30 years, but today he is on the road to recovery, rebuilding his life one step at a time. Here is David's story.
I became even a nuisance, even to the employer. And the employer could not, was not able to keep me in the job, so I got sacked. So by the time I got sacked, I had already 3 children. So after that, there was nothing else except to relocate my family to the rural areas where I am now. My father took care of my children. My father is a former primary school headmaster. He was also saved, so he had a big heart of helping my family. So he helped my family. My wife started a business, a milk business, whereby he could buy milk from the village and take the milk to Nairobi. So they combined forces with the family, especially my father, and they were able to educate my children. I continued becoming an absentee father, sometimes even hurting my children very badly. I had tried so many times to stop. I had even tried to get saved. Sometimes I would get saved for 6 months, get saved for 5 months, and then I would relapse and go back to the drink again. But this time, because my family used a lot of love, so I identified with them. And I was able, and after accepting that I had a problem, the following day, they took me all the way to the rehab center. When somebody is drinking, he loses a lot of values like honesty, humility, compassion, love, and so many other, values. So I had to rebuild my life. I had to start restructuring my life by also getting these type of values which I had lost.
All the best to him and all others that are fighting the same battle. All the best in the new year. We take our first short break on NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back with much more. Thank you for staying with us. Now, with the harsh economy, boldness and out-of-the-box ways of navigating the roads of life have been birthed. In the county of Taita Taveta, some women have opted to save money that would have been used for transport by riding their own motorcycles. Two of the women narrated to Sharon Baranga over how the unconventional move for them as women especially has brought convenience, savings, and over the last 2 years has nurtured a love for the two-wheelers.
Kazi yangu hasa inahusu kuangalia watoto wadogo jinsi wanavyofunzwa, kuangalia walimu wao jinsi wanavyohudumia wale watoto. So unapata shule hizi ili uweze kuzifikia kwa ule wakati unafaa, ni lazima kwanza uwe umeweka timing yako. County government ikatuletea pikipiki, na kupitia hizo pikipiki kweli kwa mwanzo ilikuwa ni ngumu, kwa sababu unaona sasa mimi nitaweza kutembesha hii pikipiki na nimeona watu vile wanaanguka, watu vile wanavunjika miguu, nikawa na hofu nyingi. Lakini kwa sababu naipenda kazi yangu, niliona ni lazima nitajifunza. Wakati pia nilitoka nikienda kazini, ndio kipindi naendelea kujifunza pikipiki, nilianguka njiani nikiwa naelekea kazini na nikaumia sehemu hii ya uso. Kwa sababu nilikuwa na ile dhana kwamba nikivaa helmet siwezi pumua. Na pia nilikuwa naona inanizuia kuona vizuri. Lakini unapata nilivyoanguka hapo nilipata fundisho na sikurudi nyumbani. Niliwaambia nimekuja kazini, nichekeni, lakini ninafanya kazi, na baada ya kazi nikanunua Panadols, nikameza na nikageuka tena nikarudi wapi? Nyumbani. Speed yangu haivuki 20. Huwa naenda kwa mwendo wa taratibu uwezekanavyo, ili hata kama kutakuwa na kitu kinakuja kwa ghafla ni haraka naweza zima. Kitu cha pili, siwezi beba watu zaidi ya 2. Ni mimi na mtu mmoja kama itabidi. So unapata kwa wakati huu ninaweza kuzungukia shule 3 ama 4 kwa siku, na niende kwa yale masaa na stahili, na nifike nifanye ile kazi vile na stahili, na nitoke kwa wakati unaofaa. Kulingana na jiografia yetu vile imeumbwa, ni sehemu ya tambarare. Sasa sisi kama wanawake tumefurahia pikipiki kwa sababu kwanza inakuokolea muda. Unajua muda ndio resource kubwa katika maisha ya mwanadamu. Kwa hivyo wewe kama mama unajua nikitoka asubuhi niko na pikipiki yangu, inakurahisishia kwenda kule unakotaka na kurudi kwa wakati unaofaa. Kupanda bodaboda kama hapa wanachaji umbali wa kilomita 2 ama 3, unaweza lipishwa 100 ama 150. Na unapata hiyo 100 unaweza weka lita ya mafuta na ukaenda na ukarudi na bado ikakupeleka mahali pengine. Sasa unapata kile kiwango cha pesa kinapungua, utaenda urudi na umenunua mboga yako uje upikie watoto. Kwa hivyo hakuna vile watoto watalala na njaa mama akiwa na pikipiki. Wakati wanawake walianza kutembesha pikipiki, kwa wanaume kwanza waliona ni fun. Wakawa wanaona kwanza hawa ni kama wameingilia majukumu yetu. Wengine walipenda na wengine hawakupenda. Kama mimi sasa nilipoanza kutembesha pikipiki, waliona kwanza ni jambo ambalo si la sawa kwa mama kutoka na kuzunguka na pikipiki. Sasa ilikuwa ni changamoto. Wale walikuwa wananicheka, wengi tulianza nao kufunzwa lakini walishindwa. Kwa sababu kwanza inataka uwe na ujasiri, na wewe unajua unataka nini katika maisha yako. Sasa wengi wale ambao walikuwa wananichekelea sasa hivi bado wanaendelea kulipa bodaboda, wakati mimi naendelea na kazi zangu na naokoa ile fedha kulipa bodaboda.
Mimi naitwa Rebecca Mutheu Kimondio. Mimi ni mwalimu wa Mwangaza Preschool. Nilianza kuendesha pikipiki mwaka 2017 mwezi wa 6 tarehe 10 ndio nilinunua hii pikipiki. Nilikuwa na changamoto kubwa kwa sababu nilikuwa nalipa bodaboda pesa nyingi kuja 100 kurudi 100. So kwa mwezi naona inakula pesa nyingi. Ndio nikaamua tu kuchukua loan, nikachukua loan ya 70,000 nikanunua hii pikipiki. Na kwa sasa naona imenirahisishia mwendo kwa sababu nikiweka mafuta ya 100 inachukua kama siku 3 ndio niweke tena ingine. Iko na gia 4, unaweka tu gia ukianza unawasha, unaweka gia number 1, 2, 3, 4 zikishuka, na kama unataka kureverse tena unarudisha tena juu hivyo. Hii ni nzuri kwa sababu haina clutch. Ukishatuweka mafuta, ukishawasha ukiweka mafuta, ukiweka gia inaondoka. Haina mambo ya clutch kushika sijui nini. Hapana, iko tu automatic inaondoka. Unaweza enda tu na skirt, si lazima uvae trouser. Bwana yangu alifurahia niliponunua pikipiki kwa sababu hata yeye nimemrahisishia kuleta kazi, kunichukua. Na yeye pia alikuja akapata kazi mbali, ikawa tena pikipiki ile yake kubwa mimi siwezi iendesha.
Well, more power to them, and indeed, women and power. Well, we continue with a bulletin, and on a sad note now, 2018 was a year not short of tragedies that shook the nation to the core. From the Solai Dam breaking its banks and sweeping away lives in Nakuru County to the bus crash at Fort Tenon, the tragic events brought into the national conscience the frailty of life, which can be lost through an act of God or human error.
On the night of May 9th, 2018, as the villages of Nyakenywa and Kwa Energy in Solai, Nakuru County settled into sleep, their worst nightmare was fast becoming a reality when the Patel Dam broke its walls and released more than 300 million liters of water downstream, sweeping away lives and property. After the mud had settled and the waters receded, more than 40 people were dead in one of the country's most tragic dam disasters.
Tunasema pole, na rais mwenyewe anasema pole, na kwa jumla kwa niaba ya serikali ya kitaifa tunasema pole. Tumehuzunishwa sana. Sasa ni wakati wa kufanya kazi ya kutusaidia ili tusaidie familia ambazo zimeviwa hapa.
For more than 2 weeks, while the government worked alongside non-state actors towards the burial and resettlement plans for those affected, calls to have the owner and management of the Patel farm prosecuted for the tragedy intensified.
Kama sisi maseneta tumekataa kutishwa. Tumekuja hapa mzungumze, ujue kwamba ukizungumza umezungumza na kamati ya bunge na bunge la seneti ambaye litahakikisha haki itatimizwa.
Almost 2 months since the disaster, Perry Mansuk, the owner of the Patel Coffee Estates, and Vinod Jayakumar, the farm manager, were arrested and charged alongside other government officials on 48 counts of manslaughter. During the Senate inquiry into the dam tragedy, it emerged that only one of the 7 dams in the farm had been approved by the authorities and that there had been inconsistencies in the awarding of permits to set up the other 7 dams. The Senate committee concluded that the dam disaster was not an act of God. 2018 also witnessed the collapsing of buildings in different parts of the country, with 2 people succumbing to injuries when the building they were in collapsed in Nairobi's Huruma estate. 1 person also died in Malindi, and more than 20 others were injured when an 8-story building collapsed. This was attributed to the heavy rains that had been experienced in the coastal part of the country. On the eve of Moi Day, a bus heading towards Western Kenya plunged into a valley at Fort Tenon along the Muhoroni-Kisumu route. That crash alone saw more than 50 people lose their lives in one of the most tragic road accidents ever witnessed in recent times. The crash led to the reintroduction of the Mishuki traffic rules in an attempt to restore sanity on the roads.
Kama unafanya kazi ya PSV na gari yako haiko sawa sawa, tafuta kitu kingine ya kufanya, sababu hatutakubali gari ambayo haina mambo yote ambayo sheria ina demand lazima iwe nayo.
With this year seeing a rise in the number of people who have died from road carnage by 10%, according to the National Transport and Safety Authority. Bridget, Ghana, NTV.
Peace and comfort for all that lost their loved ones in the year that has been, and it will end tomorrow. But our series NTV Rewind continues tomorrow. We take another short break on NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back. Thank you for staying with us. 28-year-old Hamis Zuma, a resident of Kinangwe in Kwale County, has been missing for a week after crossing into neighboring Tanzania. His family is now seeking the intervention of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Tanzania's John Magufuli for the return of their son. Hamis is said to have informed his father, Mohamed Ngome, via text message of safely crossing into Tanzania soon after he was allegedly arrested by police based at Duga police station. In his attempt to find information of his son's whereabouts, Mohamed claims Tanzanian authorities were of no help, and according to the family, this was not the first time their son was traveling to Tanzania for business purposes.
Hivi juzi aliniaga kwa na safari ya kwenda Tanzania, ndipo safari haikamilika, akanipigia simu akaniambia kwa ameshikwa. Tokea hiyo siku mpaka leo sijaisikia sauti yake, sijui alipo, sijui anaendeleaje, sijui kama ni mzima. Hatuna ufahamu wote, tukiuliza tuambii kitu cha maana.
Kama ni uchunguzi, mimi sikatai mwanangu kufanywa uchunguzi, lakini kwa nini nisijulishwe yuko wapi na anafanywa nini? Ni kitu gani mimi nafichwa? Kama mimi mzazi nafichwa, nifanyeje? Nijue nini? Alafu mzazi yoyote, kama walivyosema Waswahili, mtoto wa umma, alafu miaka 4 university, miaka 4 chuo kikuu, alafu mtoto akuponyoke hivi hivi, ni jambo ambalo tangu mtoto wangu atoweke hadi leo sijawahi kulala, sijawahi kula vizuri, na hali yangu pia ya kiafya si nzuri.
To some politics, some leaders from central Kenya have asked Jubilee Party Vice Chairman David Morathe to stay away from the 2022 succession politics. The leaders say Morathe has no authority to speak on behalf of the party, adding that his expressions are personal. The Jubilee Party Vice Chairman had said that there was no agreement binding the Mount Kenya region to support Deputy President William Ruto for the presidency in 2022. Some analysts, however, have read into the statement as a hint of alignments to come ahead of the 2022 polls. The leaders spoke even as Morathe dismissed calls for an election in the Jubilee Party by Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. Morathe, in a tweet response to Waiguru, remained unapologetic and instead quoted the Jubilee Party's constitution, which he says gives him the leeway to comment on matters concerning the party alongside other party leaders like Raphael Tuju.
Na wewe ni deputy vice chairman wa Jubilee Party. Unaongea siasa kama nani? Na rais amesema tuache na siasa kwanza. You have no legitimacy ya kuongea kwa niaba ya sisi wa Kikuyu na sana sana wa Murang'a. Sisi tunajijua, tumeambiwa na rais wetu tuache siasa. 2022 ikifika tutaomba Mungu na tunajua atatufungulia njia na atatuonyesha kwa kwenda.
You know, succession is not about Kenya. It's not about Kenyans. Is about individuals, people who just want power to themselves. Why is it that we are thinking about elections now? We just came from a heated debate of elections just the other day. I want to agree with the president that the issue of Big Four and Kenya moving to the next level is more important than elections. But I also want to caution, you know, the handshake may be used by some guys who are crafty to create seats for themselves.
At 20 minutes to the top of the hour, we take another short break. We still have much more coming up right after this. Let's turn our attention to agriculture now. Pakera Irrigation Scheme in Baringo County is among the facilities that the government is relying on to achieve food security. But, as is the case with other schemes, lack of proper methods of water storage has been the undoing of the irrigation platforms, with large tracts of land at the Pakera Irrigation Scheme remaining unattended to. Now, Zakis Masame visited the scheme and updates us on the plans and developments.
The waters of River Pakera flow upon their bed as they have done for decades. The river, which is the only permanent river in the region, serves as a source of irrigation water for the Pakera Irrigation Scheme. The scheme started in 1954 after feasibility studies which necessitated its establishment. The National Irrigation Board-run scheme mainly plants seed maize, with the uptake of other crops slowly gaining steam. With over 5,000 acres under irrigation, the scheme is a key contribution in the government's effort to achieving food security.
Nimefurahia kilimo, maana tunapanda mahindi, maharagwe, tama, tunavuna. Kaunti imetusaidia juu hatukosi maji, mashamba yetu tunapanda vizuri. Tunaelimika na mavuno.
Tangu serikali ilete hiyo sera ya upanuzi, scheme hii imepanuka. Shida tu ni ile structures ambaye wakati tulipanua hatukuweza kuweka kwa ile msingi ambaye inahitajika.
We are also encouraging farmers to go for other crops like the sorghums, the millet, green grams, the groundnuts, so that they can diversify production of food crops.
The scheme, located near Marga town in Baringo South constituency, has in the recent past, and with the directive from the government, started a trial project for avocado and macadamia production. This is aimed at diversifying the production from the mainstay maize. Already thousands of avocado and macadamia seedlings are ready for transplanting.
Kwa niaba ya wakulima naomba rais arudishe kichwa chake kwa kuboresha kilimo. Mara nyingi tunaona serikali tunalia njaa, naenda kuleta chakula nchi za nje ambaye ni ghali mno, na sisi tuko na ardhi ambaye naweza salisha chakula mpaka hata tuuzie wale wengine hawana.
We produced a lot of macadamia. I can say that it was about 70 tons, and the farmers earned good money. Because for the first time in the history of production of macadamia, the farmers earned more than 120 shillings per kilo of macadamia. And we have got buyers who are now coming to assist the farmers with the seedlings, at the same time assist the farmers to market their produce.
The scheme's capacity is expected to be fully realized with the construction of a modern dam that will address the problem of water inadequacy.
Wasingatie mambo ya unyunyizi, na hata scheme hii ni scheme ya zamani sana, na bado yuko katika ile status ile ya zamani. Tungependa serikali wapatie NIB hiyo uwezo wafanye canal alignment.
The management here at the Pakera Irrigation Scheme says it's determined to make sure that the government achieves one of its big four agenda, that is food security. They say that can only, however, be achieved if the government is going to construct a modern dam upstream along River Pakera to supply it with enough water. Zakis Masame, NTV, Baringo.
Further field and polling stations in the Democratic Republic of Congo officially closed at 6 p.m. today after the much-awaited election process. The polls have been marred by delays owing to technical glitches in the biometric system and a huge downpour. Now, voting in 2 provinces has been postponed to March following the Ebola outbreak and skirmishes, and according to the electoral body, official results will be announced in January 2019.
Voters woke up to a pouring rain. Shortly before polling was due to start at 6 a.m., voters braved the showers to exercise their democratic right.
I woke up at 4 in the morning, despite the fact that I live nearby. Because of the rain, I made sure I was ready and came to vote, but until now, we are talking with the others, but still nothing is ready. They should have opened at 6 a.m. They had all night here to prepare. They got more than 1,000 polling stations. There are people hanging around here to find out where they are going to vote. It's very strange. It's strange.
I feel liberated. I am happy. I completed my civic duty. I've just voted in an election which is for us today very historic, because it will allow the Congolese to see one president hand over power to another president and all living in the same country.
Voting in Beni and Betumbo in the eastern North Kivu province has been delayed until March next year due to the ongoing Ebola outbreak, which has killed more than 300 people. In the western city of Yumbi in Badundu province, voting will also take place in March next year, owing to ethnic violence that claimed the lives of at least 100 people this month. Voting was delayed in most polling stations due to the heavy downpour and electrical malfunction of the biometric system. As many as 21 candidates are competing to succeed Kabila, scrambling for the ballot from the more than 46 million Congolese registered voters. President Joseph Kabila, who has been in power since his father's assassination in 2001, is due to step down. This is a milestone poll for the country with a population of 80 million people, which has been subject to what has broadly been termed as authoritarian rule, coups and civil wars since independence from Belgium in 1960.
Time for another short break, but sports news is next. Ida Warenga debuts on Prime Time. Stay tuned.
sports with me, Ida Oringa. Let's get right into it, where Cinema FC from Jericho will battle it out against Githurai United from Githurai Estate in this year's final of Kothbero, which is Kenya's longest-running off-season football tournament. Cinema qualified for the final after bundling out a Bundes FC from Dagoretti 4-2 on post-match penalties following a barren draw in normal time at the Umeme ground in Ziwani. Cinema goalkeeper Eric Ogwade was the hero after saving 2 penalties. Githurai United stormed the final for the first time after edging out Shauri Moyo's Kingston FC by a solitary goal. Defending champions South B combined were knocked out at the group stage, level as were regulars Black Mamba, Pureto and Nyoi. The tournament is celebrating its 40-year anniversary.
80% of footballers in Kenya have passed through here. And the other 20% who are probably from other parts of the country, they always come back, they always come and play for different teams here. So this is a pitch where all big names, Victor Wanyama, he played for Nyoi. He scored a wonderful thunderbolt from the center of the field before he went to Europe the first time. His brother, McDonald Mariga, played for Opitos. We have Arnold Origi, who is also one of our tournament sponsors. He sponsors the goalkeeper of the year. He played here. He played for Pumwani. Jamal Mohammed, Humphrey Mieno consistently plays for Opitos.
Congratulations to both finalists there. Let's move on. The rise of Harambee Stars captain Victor Wanyama to an established English Premier League player has served as motivation to youth across the country that football does pay. Academies have sprouted seeking to develop talents of both boys and girls through coaching and training. One of them is Zintak Football Academy in Migori County, which has organized a 3-week training camp to further its agenda. Bernard Ojuang reports from Migori with the details.
Migori County is well known for sugarcane and tobacco farming as well as gold mining. In a bid to dig up and grow footballing talent, Zintak Football Academy was begun in 2014 in Rapogi Village, Migori County.
From families that are not of well-to-do background, so most of them were dropping out of school after class 8. They could get into sugarcane harvesting, they could get into border operation and tobacco farming.
Catering for both boys and girls, the academy seeks to discover the next footballing stars to follow in the footsteps of the likes of Victor Wanyama and Sonny's Enoka Gwanda.
The way they play, they have talent, but because we have located them, then we say that let us go to the boys only. Then we are forgetting that the girls also have talent that we can also nurture.
Since they joined the camp, the boys and the girls have been participating in various tournaments, both in Homa Bay and Migori counties, with fans turning out in numbers to cheer them on.
The 2 tournaments we have gone, we are the champions.
For the last 3 weeks, over 50 youths have been camping here to gain both theoretical and practical football knowledge.
So, occasionally we bring coaches who are just engage the students and the players in just the theoretical and tactical part of the game. And then we also have those coaches who are in camp with us full-time, who teach us the physical aspect and the actual football playing on the pitch.
And the young footballers have a message for both national and county governments.
Mr. Mwendwa has been not doing so well. He has been almost considering the urban talents, but not coming to the rural areas to help others in the rural.
In addition to the footballing knowledge acquired, the academy is also helping overcoming social challenges that are prevalent in Migori County.
Being here has helped us. Many girls are outside there. They are just meandering around the village.
To prevent that early teenage pregnancies, we also thought it was that if we engage these girls, especially during the holiday when they are at home, because at school I know the teachers look after them well, we can prevent them from intermingling with these randy boys who can put them in the family way.
Bernard Ojuang, NTV, Rapogi in the county of Migori.
Fantastic initiative there from Migori. Let's cross borders now. Manchester City survived a brief scare to beat Southampton 3-1 and shorten the gap on league leaders Liverpool to 7 points. David Silva's early opener was cancelled. we shall relive some of the sporting moments that stood out this year. To start us off is Harambee Stars' shock 1-0 win over Ghana that went a long way to secure AFCON 2019 qualification, as well as Fatuma Zarika's defense of her World Boxing Council WBC Super Bantamweight title against Mexican Yamelith Mercado.
WBC Super Bantamweight Champion of the World, Fatuma Iron Fist Zarika.
Great moments indeed for Kenyan athletes and Kenyan fans all over the world. And not a good weekend, Gladys, for Arsenal fans, but a great weekend for the Red Devils all over.
Oh yeah. This is the part where I smile and I say I'm a Red Devil fan.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, that wraps it up on sports. I'm Ida Orenga. Gladys.
Well, congratulations. It is your debut primetime sports news. Well done, and thank you for joining the team. Karibu sana. And hey, thank you for your company. A special thank you to Flora Ateno, who was our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Have a good night.